Kurt Russell is a legend. Kurt Russell was once Disney's biggest star. He tussled with Elvis, saw a UFO, starred in several John Carpenter cult classics, and ended up with Goldie Hawn. He secretly directed the beloved western Tombstone, and his name may have been Walt Disney's last words. He's an American treasure, a winemaking legend, and a former minor league baseball player. He's also been Santa Claus and Captain Ron. Today, we'll look at several facts about Kurt Russell that make him a certified legend. If you enjoy this video, you know what to do. Show that like button some love and subscribe. Stay through to the end to find out where Kurt Russell is heading next. Disney's original bad boy. Kurt Russell is known as a tough guy action icon, but he didn't start out that way. Long before Mouseketeer Ryan Gosling became a Hollywood bad boy and Zac Efron moved out of the Magic Kingdom, Russell was one of the first Disney teen stars to escape the Mouse House and become a legitimate big screen heartthrob. Signed to a 10-year contract by Walt Disney himself, Kurt has starred in 12 Disney feature films, starting with the 1966 comedy Follow Me Boys. Box office hits like The Barefoot Executive, The Horse in the Gray Flannel Suit, and the Dexter Riley trilogy turned Kurt Russell into Walt Disney Studios' top star in the 1970s. Eager to ditch his squeaky clean Disney image, Russell traded it all in for a slew of larger-than-life anti-hero roles, beginning with the R-rated 1980 Robert Zemeckis-directed comedy Used Cars. Walt Disney's final words. There are plenty of myths and legends swirling around Walt Disney. Many believe he was cryogenically frozen and stashed under Disneyland. It's not true, but Walt's final written words may have actually been Kurt Russell. Before he passed in December of 1966, Walt had handwritten Kurt Russell's name down on a piece of paper which was found on his desk, misspelling Kurt with an I instead of a U. Many believe these were Walt's final words. The date and time the note was written can't be substantiated. Russell was shooting on the Disney lot when he found out Walt had passed. In 2013's Disneyland episode of The View, Russell told Barbara Walters, I assume, as does everybody else, that he was talking about some movie that he was thinking about having me in. I don't know what to make of it other than that. The note now sits in the Walt Disney Studio archives. So, was Kurt Russell really Walt Disney's final words? Kurt believes it. Heck, even Marvel boss Kevin Feige believes it, so it must be true. Disneyland and the Osmond brothers. The Osmond brothers rock, and Kurt was a fan. Like many Disney stars of past and present, Kurt's duties extended past feature films and included a Disneyland promotional video that teamed him with the hugely popular singing family featuring Donny Osmond. Russell and the Osmonds joined actress E.J. Peeker for a musical odyssey through Disneyland attractions from a bygone era. Disneyland Showtime aired as an episode of The Wonderful World of Disney in 1970, which featured Kurt Russell unveiling the Haunted Mansion to the public for the first time, alongside the Osmonds, offering Disney fans a behind-the-scenes tour of the groundbreaking ride. Goldie Hawn. Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn are one of the longest-lasting and most beloved Hollywood couples of all time. They've been together for almost 4 decades. Kurt is 5 years younger than Goldie. He was 16 and she was 21 when they first met on the set of Disney's The One and Only Genuine Original Family Band. Goldie considered him too young to date at the time. The couple reconnected on the set of 1984's Swing Shift. Kurt auditioned for the movie with a hangover after a long night of partying with his dad. He got the job and started dating Goldie soon after. They have been together since Valentine's Day 1983. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, and they would once again team up for the blockbuster comedy hit Overboard in 1986. They received side-by-side stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2017, and they united to play Santa and Mrs. Claus in the Netflix franchise The Christmas Chronicles just a year later. Through it all, they have never been married, which both of them attribute to their lasting power as a couple. Kicking Elvis. Kurt Russell not only played Elvis, he also got to act alongside the King of Rock and Roll in the 1963 rom-com It Happened at the World's Fair. Kurt got in a legendary scuffle with the famous singer on the set that has become the stuff of Hollywood legend. Russell was just 10 years old when he made his acting debut in the MGM musical. Elvis stars as a crop-dusting gambler who hitches a ride to the World's Fair to escape debt. Kurt appears in an uncredited role as the boy who kicks Elvis in the shins. Recalling the scene years later, Kurt admits he didn't want to kick the king. Elvis was already pop culture royalty at that point, and Russell was a huge fan. Presley had to pay Kurt an extra $5 to do the nasty deed. The rest, as they say, is history. 16 years later, Kurt would play the Memphis Flash in the 1979 made-for-TV movie Elvis, directed by John Carpenter. Kurt didn't do his own singing though, that was country star Ronnie McDowell. Kurt would later reprise his role as Elvis in Forrest Gump, and he would play an Elvis impersonator in 3,000 Miles to Graceland. Mojo Nixon was right, when it comes to Kurt Russell, Elvis really is everywhere. UFO Witness. Kurt Russell saw a UFO. Not just any UAP, Kurt was the unidentified pilot who reported the infamous Phoenix Lights in 1997, one of the best known UFO incidents in the world. He only recently revealed this fact while being interviewed on the BBC back in 2017. The actor was flying his son Oliver to visit his girlfriend when the incident happened. Kurt claims he spotted 6 lights over the airport in absolute V formation. Neither he nor his son could identify what they were looking at, so they called it in and then forgot about the whole thing almost immediately. Cut to years later, Kurt notices his wife Goldie watching a TV special about the Phoenix Lights. He had a real close encounters kind of moment when he realized he was the unidentified pilot being described in the newscast, and he has the logbooks to prove it. The Phoenix Lights is the most viewed UAP incident in history, with over 20,000 people reporting the sighting. Witnessing the UFO wasn't the weird part for Kurt, it was the fact that he forgot all about it only to have the news report jostle his memory. Had the Men in Black erased his mind? Maybe. John Carpenter's Muse. John Carpenter and Kurt Russell made 5 legendary cult movies together and have collaborated on 3 iconic characters that are all certified fan favorites. The pair first worked together on the 1979 TV movie Elvis, which earned Kurt an Emmy nomination. They would reconnect 3 years later for the 1981 sci-fi action thriller Escape from New York, where Kurt introduced his legendary character Snake Plissken, a master criminal tasked with rescuing the President of the United States from a futuristic New York City. The pair would continue their partnership just 1 year later with the horror remake The Thing, which has since become known as one of the best sci-fi movies of all time, with Russell's R.J. McCready celebrated as one of the greatest cinematic heroes to ever battle a killer extraterrestrial. In 1986, John Carpenter and Kurt Russell would create the action fantasy Big Trouble in Little China, which introduced truck driver Jack Burton to the world. Not a huge hit at the time, it has since become one of the biggest cult films in movie history. The pair's final film together would be the 1996 sequel Escape from LA, where Russell once again played Snake Plissken. Carpenter and Russell remain good friends. In 2021, John publicly expressed a desire to work with Kurt again sometime in the near future. Still hasn't happened. Secretly directed Tombstone. After Tombstone director George P. Cosmatos passed away in 2005, Kurt Russell revealed the long-kept secret that he had actually ghost-directed the blockbuster western himself. He gave Cosmatos shot list for the film after original director Kevin Jarre was replaced. Cosmatos had been recommended by Kurt's Tango and Cash co-star Sylvester Stallone, who worked with the filmmaker on Rambo: First Blood Part 2 and Cobra. Kurt promised Cosmatos that he wouldn't tell anyone their secret while the director was still alive. Russell was never given a chance to edit his own version of Tombstone, but the actor has considered going back to reconstruct the movie. He admits that might take too much work and dedication. Ace pilot. Like Harrison Ford, Kurt Russell knows his way around a plane. The actor is an FAA licensed private pilot holding single and multi-engine ratings. He is also an honorary board member of the humanitarian aviation organization Wings of Hope. During his 10-year contract with Disney, Russell served in the California Air National Guard and belonged to the 146th Tactical Airlift Wing. He served from 1969 to 1975 alongside fellow actor Sam Elliott. The pair would eventually unite on screen in 1993's Tombstone. Russell caught the flying bug in 1988 and began his pilot training under the watchful eye of his grandfather, an aerobatic pilot with over 45,000 hours under his belt. Over the years, Kurt has owned many planes and often flies IFR even when local conditions don't call for it, just so he can stay sharp. Minor league baller. Swing batta batta, swing batta. Kurt Russell played minor league baseball for the California Angels affiliates in the 1970s. Signed by the California Angels in 1971, the second baseman played for 4 of the Angels minor league affiliates and was named a league all-star in his very first year. His dad, Bing Russell, started the independent baseball team Portland Mavericks in the 70s, which is chronicled in the Netflix documentary The Battered Bastards of Baseball. Kurt played for the Portland Mavericks in 1973. He also played for Bend Rainbows, Walla Walla Islanders, and El Paso Sun Kings. A shoulder injury on the field cut Kurt Russell's baseball career short. His retirement from the sport in 1973 led to his return to acting. Interestingly enough, Kurt has never starred in a baseball movie, although he did star as a football player in the 1986 Best of Times and played a hockey coach in 2004's Disney biopic Miracle. Jungle Boy. Kurt Russell is on a very short list of Hollywood icons who guest starred on the iconic sitcom Gilligan's Island. Others include Don Rickles, Phil Silver, and Zsa Zsa Gabor. Russell is particularly memorable playing a character named Jungle Boy, a young Tarzan-like orphan in a leopard print loincloth who takes the castaways to a hidden stash of helium so they can build a balloon and fly off the island, which of course does not actually happen. Jungle Boy was partially based on Mowgli from the Jungle Book. He has the ability to swing like a monkey, swim like a fish, and run like a deer. How Jungle Boy arrived on Gilligan's Island is never explained, but it's remembered as one of the show's best cameos. Goldie wines. Kurt Russell loves to drink wine and make it. While shooting Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof, he became serious about his love for the craft, partnering with Peter and Rebecca Work in 2008 to found Goldie Wines. Kurt Russell's winery is located in California's Santa Rita Hills. His Chardonnay is always named Goldie, and his Pinot Noir is named after a different family member each vintage. Why Goldie? That's a little nickname for Goldie Hawn. You can purchase bottles directly from the Goldie Wine website. Members who join Kurt's Wine Club are offered an exclusive invite to an annual party hosted by Kurt Russell himself. Kurt the Rancher. Kurt Russell has played several cowboys over the years, perhaps the most iconic of which was Wyatt Earp in Tombstone. He also stars in Bone Tomahawk and The Hateful Eight, but there might not be anything more cool than Russell being a real-life rancher with property in Aspen, Colorado. Kurt the Firefighter. To prepare for his role in Ron Howard's 1991 drama Backdraft, Kurt rode along with the Chicago Fire Department's Squad 5. He went to a firefighter boot camp to learn the ropes, and even slept at a Chicago firehouse for about a month. He also did a lot of his own stunts, which impressed stunt coordinator Walter Scott so much, Russell got his own credit as a stunt performer. Ron Howard described Kurt Russell's approach as aggressive, but entertaining and totally honest. Kurt even helped carry a real 50-pound fire hose up the stairs instead of the lightweight prop that was on set. Where is Kurt headed next? Kurt Russell most recently reprised his roles as Mr. Nobody in F9 The Fast Saga and Santa Claus in The Christmas Chronicles Part 2. He returns to television in Apple's live-action Godzilla and the Titan series alongside son Wyatt Russell, which is part of Legendary's Monsterverse. He'll also continue making wines and flying planes. It's possible that we'll see him return as Santa Claus a third time sometime in the near future on Netflix. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to share it with all your BFFs, blast that like button with your fire hose, and subscribe. The next time you're in Hawaii, be sure to visit the Kurt Russell bathroom inside the Pig and the Lady restaurant in Honolulu.